Hello. Welcome back to another RStudios video. Today we'll be going over a tutorial of how to look at data in RStudios. So it should be a pretty quick and concise video. So let's get right to it. So the first thing you should do when working with a new data set in RStudios is look at the data set. You want to look for any missing values, anything that looks a little weird. You want to understand what you're looking at, like what the variable names are, what type of class they're in, stuff like that. So if we do ls down here and the parentheses button like this will list all the variables in our workspace. So you can see these are all the different variables that I've got right here. We're going to be looking specifically at this one called plants right here. So I want to know what the structure of the data in my plants variable is. So I can simply do that by typing in class, parentheses, plants, and this tells me it's a data frame. So data frame is a very common, it's the default class in our RStudios. It's a rectangular shape, 2 dimensions. It's going to kind of look like a table with rows and columns. Pretty simple to understand. So if I wanted to know the number of rows and the number of columns in my data set, I would do dim plants. And you can see we get 5,166 rows and 10 columns in our data set. Now if I wanted to know just for rows, I could do n row plants, and there we get our 5,166. And similarly, if I wanted to know just for columns, I could do n col plants. And we get our 10 right there. So what if you wanted to know how much space this data set is taking up on your computer? Well, you can easily do object dot size and plants like this, and it'll tell you this takes up 745,944 bytes, which is kind of neat. So then we can go ahead, and what if we want to now know what's inside of our data set? We've kind of been looking at all the variables like about the data set, but not what's actually in this data set. So we can figure out what the names of the variables are in this. So by doing names plants, these are all the different names that we've got. We've got scientific name, we've got duration, pH min, pH max, shade tolerance, all very important things to know about these plants. Cool. So if we wanted to see kind of like, this is a really big data set that I've got right here, this plants data set, it's really big. So if we wanted to see like a summary of it, just to kind of get the general gist of the data, we could do head plants like this. And this gives us a very short summary of the data set. Notice we've got 6 rows. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But what if we wanted to know more, like a little more, like that, because 6 is the default. What if we wanted to know 10 rows? Well, we could do head as heat, not head, plants, comma, 10. And you can see now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 right there. Pretty neat. Head plants 10 row columns. Sorry, 10 rows. So what if we also wanted to see like a summary of the later data? Like this head means like a preview of the first part of the data set. What if we wanted to see the last part? We could easily do tails, plants, and I want to do, let's say, 15 rows. What? Oh, you're supposed to do tail, not tails. I apologize. So we'll type in tail, parentheses, plants, and comma, I want 15 rows, like that, and then enter, and there we go. We get, see there's like we said earlier there was 5,166 rows. Well, these are the last 15 rows, which is pretty cool. So what if we wanted to see like a summary and like see how the variables are distributed and how much of the data set is like missing or something? We could easily get a summary of this data set by doing summary, plants, enter, and you can see we get a summary of everything. You remember we had like, there's the scientific name, duration, all these other things, lengths, class, character modes, the pH, mins, and whatnot. It's really cool stuff. So then, the last function I'm going to tell you guys about is str, plants. Now this function, this combines everything we've just learned, where we can see like lists, class, rows and column numbers, names and classes of each variable, and previews of the contents. So if we go ahead and enter that, you can see we get like the scientific name, we get 5,166 row, and then 10 variables, the columns. We got our data frame right there. Get all of our scientific names and whatnot. We get what type of data frame they are here for each one, and we get a little summary of all the variables, which is pretty neat. That's all I've got for you guys today. Hope you have a wonderful day.